Sure, you can always shop around for flooring, but in the end, it all leads back to the one place you probably should have started, the experts at Carpet One. Save yourself the time and the hassle and let Carpet One help you find the right product at the right price. Beautifully installed, guaranteed. Come see the One, Carpet One, on the Business Loop in Columbia.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, December the 9th. We're going to talk about earthquakes today. Normally we have Eric Sandvold on, but today we have the newest professor in the geological science at MU, Professor Noel Bartlow. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And you specialize in geodesy.
That's correct, yes.
What is geodesy?
So geodesy is the study of the change in shape of the Earth, quite literally. But I specialize in taking geodetic techniques, or geodesy, and applying it to studying earthquakes and to studying the faults that create earthquakes and trying to improve earthquake forecasts.
Okay, give us a definition again. What is geodesy?
It is the study of the change in shape of the Earth.
So our Earth is changing shape all the time?
Yes, in very small amounts. And whereas Eric, who you've talked to before, he's a seismologist, and he studies how the Earth moves using seismometers that measure velocity or acceleration of the Earth. I study how the Earth changes shape using GPS instruments that actually measure how the Earth displaces, so the net change in shape.
So you're saying if it could be like a ball that's there, and the ball is not perfectly round. Maybe it bulges on one side a little bit and shrinks on the other side?
Yes.
And what's causing this?
Well, for the most part, the plate tectonics would be the main answer. Although with geodetic instrumentation, like I said, our main instrument is actually GPS. It's the same as what you have in your car, except that with special processing techniques and special techniques of planting the GPS stations actually into the ground, we can get down to millimeter level accuracy. So we are measuring changes in shape of the Earth of the size of millimeters, so very, very small changes. And we can even see things like rainfall. So when rain falls and the soil absorbs it, the soil becomes heavier, and that changes the shape of the Earth.
So that means, does it puff up a little bit?
So in the region, if the soil, when it absorbs the water, will puff up a little bit, but we tend to actually drill through the soil and cement the GPS instruments. We drill through the soil and we put a leg down and cement it to the rock beneath the soil, and then the GPS instrument is actually recording what happens to the rock beneath the soil. So if the soil expands but it gets heavier, then it's an extra weight and the rock beneath it moves down.
And it goes down. And it's changing the shape of the Earth.
That's right.
Now, this can also influence earthquakes occurring,
yes,
right?
That's right.
Now, about a month or so ago, we had a pretty big earthquake in New Zealand.
Right.
A couple of weeks ago, we had one in Japan.
Yes.
I always thought when you had an earthquake that a tsunami would be generated. And you were saying, no, that doesn't necessarily happen.
Right.
Why?
Okay, so earthquakes generate tsunamis by moving the seafloor. So if an earthquake happens underwater and the seafloor goes up, then the ocean above it goes up as well, and then that flows away as a large tsunami wave. But if an earthquake doesn't cause the ocean to go up, it won't cause a tsunami. So that could happen because the earthquake is on land and there's no water above where it occurred. Or it can happen because the earthquake is just a rubbing side-to-side motion instead of an up-down motion, and then you won't have a tsunami.
So how do they forecast a tsunami, a possibility of a tsunami?
Right. So when an earthquake occurs, I want to make the point very briefly that we don't predict earthquakes. We forecast earthquakes.
Right. Okay.
So it's a lot like a weather forecast. So the weatherman might tell you there's a 30% chance of rain tomorrow. We would tell you that there's a 30% chance of an earthquake, except our time period is much longer. So we might say there's a 30% chance of an earthquake over the next 30 years in some region. But we can't actually predict them. That said, there is a technology called earthquake early warning. And what that does is when an earthquake is actually occurring, it detects that earthquake very quickly and tells people before the shaking actually arrives. And there's a related technology called tsunami early warning. which also rapidly detects an earthquake, and it uses various geophysical data from either GPS instruments or seismometers or both to determine whether the seafloor has moved up or not. And then it can issue tsunami warnings.
All right. But you're telling me that there is an instrument that can warn people before they actually feel the earthquake? How
Yes.
much warning do you get?
Well, earthquake early warning is a pretty, it's an expensive technology. It's just now being installed in the United States in parts of California, Oregon, and Washington. But it's been operational for a few years in Japan. And in Japan, they get anywhere from if the earthquake occurs right where you're standing, obviously you will get no warning, but it can be up to a minute or more sometimes, depending on how far away you are from the earthquake. Unfortunately, people who are further away, they get the most warning, and they also have the least amount of shaking. But people who experience very damaging shaking can still get 10 to 30 seconds of warning.
But there's not really much you can do in that 10 to 30 seconds, is there?
Well, there may not be much that an individual can do beyond just leaving a building. So being outside during an earthquake is generally safer than being in a building because the main hazard is that things would fall on you. So you want to be in an area where things can't fall on you. But beyond what an individual can do, government agencies can do a lot with 10 to 30 seconds of warning. For example, the BART trains, the Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is the trains around the San Francisco region,
Right.
have an earthquake early warning system, and they will automatically bring the trains to a safe stop to prevent them from derailing during an earthquake. Similarly, buildings can program elevators to let people off at the nearest floor so they don't get trapped in elevators during an earthquake, and applications like that.
So that would be automatic.
Yes. So there's a lot that automated systems can do with that type of warning.
Have you ever experienced an earthquake yourself?
Yes, I have. Quite
And
a
what
few
does
of
it
them.
feel like?
The largest earthquake I experienced was a magnitude 7 earthquake. It was in New Zealand, so I was in New Zealand at the time. And the shaking, it was 10:30 p.m. at night. I was at home in my bedroom, and the shaking was enough that I did what you're supposed to do in an earthquake, which is duck, cover, and hold on. So I ducked underneath the desk in my bedroom, and I held onto the desk legs, and I watched the books in the bookcase sway back and forth.
Oh, my.
And the whole house was shaking. It really felt like... a lot of people describe it as like a truck hitting your home, but where I was, the shaking lasted for 30 seconds, so it kept going on and on.
The whole house was shaking.
Yeah, it felt like somebody was literally just shaking the house.
Were you frightened?
A little bit, but mostly I'm a geophysicist who studies earthquakes, so mostly
you
I
said,
just thought it was
wow,
really cool.
I'm experiencing the...
Yeah, mostly I just thought it was really cool. But the house that I was in didn't sustain any damage in that earthquake, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We're about out of time for today, but if people want more information, where can they go to get this?
Well, I have a faculty webpage. It's faculty.missouri.edu/BARTLOWNO. Or you can always drop me an email. It's bartlowno@missouri.edu.
Bartlow, BARTLOW.
NO@missouri.edu.
Okay. Thank you, Noel. Your pleasure chatting with
Yes,
you.
thank
and
you.
tell Eric that we said hi.
Okay, will
You did a
do.
great job today.
Okay, thank you.
We're out of time for today. Tomorrow, a local author and Missouri Symphony Society.